This is going to be a very uneventful, unexciting video. I'm watching a medieval documentary in the background, and I'm just testing DataCam. I'm doing a couple tests. Number one, I'm going to do a single-ended reading for the first time. The other test I did was a differential reading. So this is referencing ground for the negative. And I'm going to test a longer running video. So I'm about to plug in this charger. There we go. It'll start the process. There we go. And I'm using this awesome power bank board with this little heat sink on it. Fits perfectly to just charge this Lipo and monitor the voltage. As you can see, the Texas Instruments ADS 1115 analog to digital converter is very precise. I can monitor this lithium-ion cell to 3 digits of precision and watch as it goes up. It's really great.
But some of the markets grew, and
anyways, I'm just going to let this sit here for a little while.
So that's a small structure that had a little.
Like I said, it's not going to be an exciting video. It's really not a normal video. It's just, you know, I'm putting it on YouTube. That way I've got a reference. When someone asks, hey, how sensitive is this device? Or, you know, how well can it read a single cell? Well, then I can just send this link.
Really, yeah, it's beautiful and a very, very interesting visit if you get a chance. And if you go there, you can still buy. There are still butchers, there are still bakers, there are still haberdashery shops. There used to be a barber, there's lots of cafes and things like that. But it is basically a medieval covered shopping centre. Of course, where you've got thousands of people gathering in one place, perhaps drinking too much, perhaps getting overexcited, perhaps disagreeing over terms of trade, you're going to need to resolve those disputes. And the court systems of the medieval period were very slow moving. And of course that was no use if people were going to turn up for a day and disappear, or turn up for a week and disappear. The court couldn't cope with that. So what they did is they created a type of temporary tribunal, what's called a pie powder court. Now, pie powder sounds like an absurd name, but it apparently comes from the French.
I don't know how long I'll let this run. You know, it's going to be a while. Maybe I'll let it get to 4 volts.
Strangers' courts. They were literally called strangers' courts sometimes. And they would hear the trials and tribulations of people there and then, make decisions there and then, and find...
Actually, I'm going to unplug it and let it rest so we can see that.
So they will be settled there.
You see it falling there?
Pragmatic form of administration of justice.
That's totally normal. Of course, an unhealthy cell will do that a lot more drastically.
Some of these are a little bit.
Okay, let's plug it back in. It doesn't respond instantly because the board does some negotiations.
They show some color for it.
There it goes.
There's a record for the punishment of William Watley, who should be whipped out of town for firing off his irons and for calling on the commons to lay hands on the mayor in church. A bit of a rabble-rouser there, so he was whipped out of town. Sounds pretty serious if you ask him. There's another one. The court held that there should be an agreement that no sheep be allowed at large in the town on the common, and hogs are to be yoked and ringled, I presume that means ring in their nose. No person shall be allowed more than 4 hogs. Quite strict. John Parker shall be fined for casting dung into the cellar of the butchery. Don't know anything more about that story at all, but somebody chucked dung into the butcher shop cellar and was fined for it. Was it a mistake? Was he getting revenge for something? I don't know.
It definitely was not a mistake.
There's another one here. There's an order that no stone, timber, brick or building stuff which has either formed part of a building or is fit to be built with, should be carried out of the town under penalty of a fine. Not sure what's going on there, but they don't want the building materials to be taken away for some reason. Sufficiently important to have had a court case and an order to be made. This one's an interesting one because it talks a little bit about a local monopoly, which would have been a real problem for people. It says, Thomas Smythe, he shall cease to be both miller and baker in the town at the same time. Now he was obviously doing a bit of vertical integration there. So he's miller, grinding the corn, and the baker, baking the bread. And so that gave him a lot more power than perhaps 2 separate people doing the same job. Interesting enough that the courts should order that wouldn't be the case. So in summary then, markets were the local shopping event, You tend to meet ordinary people there and locals, people not from too far away. But medieval fairs, these were grand annual events, and the people travelled from far and wide to attend them. Big deals were done. Genuine foreigners that we might think of now, people coming from different countries that spoke different languages, wore different clothes, had different customs, and may even have different coins with them. You would expect fully to see them. And at some of these fairs, you had martial tournaments, you had jousting, you had nobility fighting. You might have all sorts of jugglers and entertainers, and it would have been a really spectacular event. Probably more people in one place than most medieval people saw in much of their lives.
Hello everybody, there is deep snow on the ground here in the UK, and it is a viciously cold winter's day, and I am going to go out in the snow in my harness. One of the big battles of the so-called War of the Roses during the First English Civil War was fought in the snow, and we don't get much opportunity in the UK to actually do things in the snow, quite surprisingly. So it's a fantastic time to see how armour and horse and man cope with deep snow.
Someone just successfully generated something.
Shortly. It is very slippery. My feet are already starting to get wet through my medieval leather shoes, and my fingers are getting cold. The whole armour is being chilled, it's drawing heat out to my body. I have a cloak here, and I'm going to put that on. Try and keep some of the warmth in. But my fingers are already starting to get cold. I can't imagine fighting in these conditions. It must have been dreadful. Right, let's go get on a horse. See what riding's like.
We are almost to 4 volts. Of course, the battery's not actually at that. If I unplug it, it'll drop a little, but I'll just stop it when it gets to 4 volts under charge. I see it jumping around a little bit there. We're just seeing the internals of this USB charge board do its thing. Usually you just don't see that.
The snow is, of course, as white as it gets. You can see all the mud on him.
It's like changing current and stuff depending on the temperature.
Horses in this weather, it's just too cold, and horses would have been like this. That's what they are. He's enjoying himself actually, which is rather nice.
I think it's long enough. I'm going to end it. Later.